Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Meng Mangu. I'm Professor Extension Specialist in the Horticulture Department here at Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service. And we have our panelists, Erfang Vafai, Dr. Erfang Vafai, Dr. Becky Bolland, Dr. Kevin Ong, and Paul Winsky from Harris County. And today, and Laura Miller, our hort agent from Tarrant County. Thank you, Laura. And today we have Dr. Alan Owings, and you guys are probably pretty familiar with Dr. Owings. This is his third occurrence on our Chat with Green Aggies webinar. So Dr. Owings was a professor extension specialist with LSU Ag Center, and now he is the horticulturist with Clegg's Nursery in Baton Rouge and senior horticulturist with Bracey's, a wholesale nursery in mid Louisiana. Dr. Owens is going to talk about what's new with landscape plants, variety improvements and new offerings. And with, as you know, at spring, as crazy as it is, we need to grab those plants when they still have them. So Dr. Owens, go ahead with your presentation.
Okay, everyone, good morning. Good afternoon. Great to be here with the Texas A&M Aggie Chat again. So we're going to talk about new landscape plants today, go over a couple of the shrubs that I think maybe we've already discussed one or two times, and I've added a few other items here for y'all today. Crazy plant sales going on right now, as you all know, and things are not lasting any time on availability. And at Bracey's Nursery, we've been sending about 3.5 or 4 times the number of plants to Texas the last 7 weeks than what we typically send. So y'all know about the drifts and knockout roses. Laura pedalums are really hot. Y'all aren't selling as many Dicentiums in Texas as we're seeing sold in Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, but Dicentiums is a shrub that y'all need to think about. Encore Azaleas are very short supply right now. Boxwoods, shishis, all the gardenias. We're getting ready to have some endless summer hydrangeas available. The hydrangea paniculatas, we'll talk about those today. There's a couple of new ones coming out. Sunshine Ligustrums, all the Abelius, Kaleidoscope, and there's a couple other varieties that I think have some really good potential. So we've talked about the Dicentiums before, the 5 main varieties from the first editions program. Vintage Jade was the first one that came out. Cinnamon Girl has been the more recent addition with the smaller foliage, finer texture, lower growing plant, and Cinnamon Girl has moved to number 1 in sales, where Vintage Jade is number 2. Coppertone is basically the one folks buy when they can't find the other varieties. Linebacker is your one that gets 8 feet tall, 10 feet tall, and is more of a screen plant. And then Swing Low is the newest addition, and the foliage on Swing Low is a little bit larger than on Cinnamon Girl, but Swing Low branches lower to the ground than Cinnamon Girl does. This is a big crop of Cinnamon Girl out of Bracey's Nursery late last year in October, November. Here's Cinnamon Girl at a landscape in Baton Rouge. Cinnamon Girl needs to be pruned a couple of times a year to kind of take care of that bypass shoot growth that you experience, but a really nice plant, and they do have red flowers on the stems in the interior of the plant in February and March every year. Some cold damage on Dicentium in North Louisiana. I'm not sure what you all are seeing cold damage on these in Little Rock and Memphis, but most folks seem to have their Dicentiums coming back about halfway dieback on what I have seen thus far. Here's some Swing Low at Clegg's Nursery in Baton Rouge. You can see how it branches a little bit lower to the soil line than Cinnamon Girl does. And there's another picture of Swing Low from first editions plants. And then the 2 new varieties of Dicentiums in the Southern Living Plant Collection that Buddy Lee developed. Buddy Lee, of course, is the Encore Azalea guy. So these are just now starting out, and we sold our first trial crops at Bracey's, and we have our first full production crops of these going in, cast in bronze and jewel box. I think jewel box will be the most popular because it's even a little bit smaller than Cinnamon Girl is, a fine textured foliage. So just keep in mind that cast in bronze, which has some pretty nice bronze foliage like copper tone does, and jewel box are the two new Southern Living varieties. And then over in Texas, you have green leaf that has the bluescape variety, and you see that around a good bit. And then the Gardener's Confidence variety of a Dicentium is the Blue Cascade. So Blue Cascade and Bluescape are two other Dicentium varieties to think about. But Texas needs to think about the Dicentiums. We have the new Petite Knockout Rose that's new for this year that probably most of y'all have seen. Totally new genetics. There's a utility patent on this, 18, 24 inches tall. The flowers last forever on Petite Knockout. Very good black spot and Cercospora leaf spot resistance. This rose is in 2 of the national trial evaluations right now and doing very well. Y'all know about the drift roses, and I'm not sure what the rose rosette disease situation is in Texas right now and whether it continues to spread. But think about some of these newer drift roses. You know, red and coral and pink are sold a lot, but apricot and peach and popcorn are really catching on with folks. They have more fragrance to them. So just keep in mind the drift roses, and if you plant them in the right numbers and the right location in the landscape, I think you can minimize the rose rosette infestation on them if you pay attention to that kind of thing and try to do in small numbers instead of large numbers, and plant them where they get a little bit of protection and the wind doesn't bring the bites to the plant canopy. This is what we are seeing, unfortunately, on some of the drift roses. The popcorn drift originated as a sport of peach drift. So some plantings of popcorn drift roses are sporting these peach flowers now. So you need to go in there and prune out those reversions. And then also we're seeing this on white drift. White drift originated as a sport of sweet drift. So once in a while now you're seeing white drift that has these pink flowers that are characteristic of sweet drift coming on them. So I just had somebody asking this morning about this particular situation. So we are seeing some of this happening the longer these roses are out on the market and the more they're being asexually propagated. Now, the new drift rose that will be available starting later this year and in 2022 is the blushing drift. So this is just a pale pink addition to the drift series roses from Star Roses and Plants. And you know, Star Roses usually has a smaller height and width at maturity on these than what I would list. I would say these are more 2.5 to 3 foot tall plants, but just letting y'all know that blushing drift is the new drift variety that is coming out, and growers are just now getting these into their first production crop. Star Roses and Plants also has some other rose varieties that are new for this year and next year. This Pretty Polly series, I've seen these in trials, and the Pretty Pollies are performing very well. These are fragrant polyantha roses, and polyantha roses are what was used to develop today's Floribunda roses. So they're a little bit smaller growing, smaller foliage, and they have tremendously high numbers of flowers on each flower cluster. So these Pretty Pollies have done very well in the LSU Ag Center trials. I'm not sure who has trialed these in Texas, but these are doing very well, and we're growing these in our first crop at Bracey's right now. So Pretty Polly pink and Pretty Polly white and I think there's one other color, but the white and the pink are the two that we're growing at the current time. And then another new variety from Star Roses and Plants has nice double flowers, very fragrant, very good disease resistant, sweet mademoiselle. And this is a landscape shrub. So if you're looking for a little bit of a different look than what you get with the drift roses, this variety may be one to consider. It's going to be a 4 to 5 foot grower, so it's got some larger size to it. And then Sunset Horizon with this multicolor yellow, pink, blush flowers. And we're growing a trial of these plants also, and we're going to see how they do, but they've done well in the LSU trials in Baton Rouge. So we're trying this variety also. So that's kind of what's new in the Star Roses and Plants as far as the roses are concerned. Our friend Tom Rainey at North Carolina State has been working on these double play spireas, the Proven Winners program, and double play candy corn and double play doozy are the two top sellers. And these have really gained a lot of traction in the landscape and retail garden center community. I mean, I've just been tremendously impressed with the foliage ability of these to hold up very well. You would think in the heat and humidity and full sun that the double play candy corn unique foliage characteristics there would kind of play out, but they hold up decently well, and the color is really good in the fall and in the midwinter through late spring. So keep in mind these plants, the double play series. There's about 6 or 7 total varieties in the series, and the two that are most sold or being seen the most right now are the candy corn and the doozy. Kaleidoscope Abelia, still the #1 selling Abelia on the market right now. I'm not sure if we had a whole lot of cold damage on Abelias. I think some people in Texas have said we did have a lot of damage on these, but I don't know what is coming back and what's not coming back for you all on the Abelias. But Kaleidoscope is still the #1 seller for us. And but we're also adding a lot of production in the Radiance. Radiance is in the Garden Debut program. It's also in the Southern Living program. I believe you can also grow it in a black container, but Radiance has been a very nice for us, really unique foliage color, a good bloomer, and we're pleased with Radiance, and we've been adding production numbers on Radiance the last couple of years. These are really selling good when you go east into Alabama and Georgia. So we're selling a lot of these in Georgia. And then I'm not sure who knows about the Perfection Abelias from Star Roses and Plants. These have actually been around for about 3 or 4 years now. They're really exceptional, y'all. We're very pleased with the Peach Perfection. The Peach Perfection has been in the trial gardens at LSU and Hammond for the last 5 years now. And just the foliage on it is fabulous. The blooming that's on it is very good. You have a lot of pollinator activity on it. So I'm not as familiar with the apple and the raspberry, but Peach has done just outstanding for us. And it's in the bloomable program with Star Roses and Plants, but you don't have to grow Star Roses and Plant shrubs in the bloomable pot. You can grow them in a black container. So y'all check out the Peach Perfection and some of these other varieties in this Abelia series. And there's just a few glamour shots of Peach Perfection at LSU Ag Center in Hammond. Hardly any pruning on these. They don't have that wild straight up shoot growth that you see on Kaleidoscope and a couple other varieties. These have not hardly been pruned at all. They're about 42, 48 inches tall. There's one of the plants in the planting that's only about 36 inches tall. So really a long bloom time on these also. And I see all kinds of butterfly species working these azaleas. Our friend John Reuter at the University of Georgia has been breeding Hearty Hibiscus for a good while, and there certainly are a lot of Hearty Hibiscus out on the market. And I know J. Berry Nursery has the ones that were developed at Texas A&M. I think they're being called the Head Over Heels Hearty Hibiscus, and no, these are Head Over Heels. He's got the ones in the season to season program. And then of course there's a summerific Hearty Hibiscus that Walters Gardens and Proven Winners that has the lion's share of the market, I believe. But these new Head Over Heels varieties from the University of Georgia breeding in the Star Roses and Plants program are very nice. They're smaller habit, nice bloom size as you see there. We've been growing 3 of these varieties at Bracey's Nursery, and they have had very good sell-through for us. The 2 new varieties for this year are the red flowered one that's called Desire, and the white with the red eye variety that's called Dream. And these also have some built-in breeding to have a little bit of resistance to the sawflies that devastate the foliage on some Hearty Hibiscus varieties. I'm not sure how much of the sawfly larva damage you all have in Texas, but it's pretty widespread most years in South Louisiana. So keep in mind these Head Over Heels Hearty Hibiscus. Proven Winners has the new Altheus Rose of Sharon's, the Pillar series. There's Pillar White and Pillar Purple, or Purple Pillar and White Pillar. Very columnar habit, 90 to 100 days of bloom. I've been impressed with these. You don't have the floppiness to them that you have with the older Abelia varieties. I'm hoping there'll be some more colors coming out in this series in the next couple of years. I really don't know for sure on that, but these have been selling very good for us. I'd say the Purple Pillar sells in larger numbers than the White Pillar does, but both of them have been very prolific bloomers for us, and the columnar habit on these is very good. They're supposed to get 6 to 7 feet tall, and probably they're going to get larger than that, but they are holding true. And some of the older plantings I've seen at the University of Tennessee in Jackson, Tennessee, at the research station there, have been there about 5 or 6 years, and they're about 6 or 7 feet tall, and they just have a perfect columnar habit to them. So think about these varieties. I see a few growers growing these in 7-gallon containers also. I'm not sure how many of the Hydrangea paniculatus you all do in Texas. I know they're probably popular in East Texas more than they are in Central Texas and in the Austin, San Antonio area. But of course, y'all know Limelight. And usually these are going to bloom much better after a cold winter. So we ought to pay attention to how these do for us this year. And it's very important that all of you in the landscape area, and those of y'all who sell these at retail, to encourage folks to fertilize these every spring. It's really important to get fertilizer out on your paniculatus to kind of push that spring growth out every year. Sometimes they're kind of slow to come out, but I find they really respond very well to fertilizer. They start blooming in June and go till Labor Day, and they'll have some extended bloom if you do some deadheading on them. And these are more sun type hydrangeas. They need more sun than shade to do what they want to do. Limelight gets about 6 to 8 feet tall. Now, the new improved Limelight is coming out this year. First crops are in the ground at some nurseries, and that's Limelight Prime. So Limelight Prime is the next generation of Limelight, and Limelight Prime is about 2/3 to 3/4 the size of Limelight, and it has a better branching system to it, so you don't have the floppiness that you have sometimes when you have Limelight planting. So Limelight Prime is new to the market, and there's going to be crops available this year. And then Little Lime is a smaller version of Limelight, 3 to 4 feet on Little Lime versus 6 to 8 feet on Limelight. And Little Lime usually starts blooming 1 to 2 weeks before Limelight does. So keep that in mind. And it's more manageable in a foundation planting up by the house, but these do need sun also. These are in Regina Bracey's backyard in Amite, Louisiana, and they get half-day sun, half-day shade, and it works out pretty well for them. That's actually morning shade and then sun from 12 o'clock till sunset in the summertime, and they hold up extremely well. Little Lime, Hydrangea paniculata. And there's also improvement coming in Little Lime. So you have a Limelight Prime, and then the next generation of Little Lime is called Little Lime Punch, and it's supposed to have more of this blush and pink and red bloom color to it. Now, down in Texas and Louisiana, Mississippi, we don't always get this kind of flower color show on the paniculatas because we're too hot at night. If we have a cooler summer by some miracle, you'll get better pink and blush color there. But for the most part, they don't color up that good for us down here. Strawberry Sundae, vanilla strawberry, they have the same issue. So I have not grown this one before. We have the first crop out right now, and I want to see what the flower colors are going to do on these this year. So Limelight Prime and Little Lime Punch are the two new paniculatas. And then Buddy Lee Southern Living Variety White Wedding. Think about White Wedding as being about the same size as Little Lime. White Wedding usually is whiter than Little Lime is as far as the bloom. And White Wedding has a very nice branching structure to it, strong stems, and it has been performing very well. And there's a good demand at retail for the White Wedding Hydrangea paniculata. The new varieties in Endless Summer hydrangeas. The only new variety is Summer Crush, and it's supposed to be reddish raspberry purple. These look kind of pink here at the garden center in Baton Rouge. Let's see if I have another picture. I don't, but you can see the tag there. The more acid your soil, the more red the flowers are going to be, and the more alkaline or the higher pH you get more of this raspberry pink color there. But Summer Crush is gaining a good percentage of market share in the Endless Summer collection. Bloomstruck is also very popular in addition to the Original Blue, and there are going to be some improvements in the Original Blue Endless Summer. Sooner or later, they're going to introduce an improved variety to replace the Original Blue. So Summer Crush and Bloomstruck are the two that have some momentum in the Endless Summer varieties. And then Buddy Lee's two new Encore Azaleas for this year. We've sold both of our first crops of these. So this is variety number 32 and variety number 33. We're getting a lot of Encore varieties. Majesty is the semi-double purple, and then Starburst is the pink and white striped bicolor. There's a similar one called Sunburst, but the bicolorness of Starburst is better than Sunburst. So both of our first small crops of these sold out in 1 week, and there's really high retail demand for these two new autumn Encores, and production should be increased in the next couple of years. But basically, that's new. That's a new color in the Encores on the purple. So that's one reason that folks are excited about it. And there's a couple of pictures of Autumn Majesty at a trade show, and then Autumn Sunburst at Buddy Lee's house with a little bit of frost on it. And these have the same repeat blooming characteristics that all of the other Encores do. Depending on what Encore you select, you're going to get anywhere from 21, 22 weeks of flowering up to 33, 35, 36 weeks of flowering. So 4 to 8 months, depending on what variety you select. Autumn Embers is the longest blooming Encore. It just goes forever. Laura petalums. You all know that we have so many Laura petalums on the market. Ever Red and all the varieties in the Southern Living Plant Collection. So Charisse Charm. Charisse Charm is from Star Roses and Plants, and actually the color on Charisse Charm is better season long than on Ever Red. So really not a lot of availability of Charisse Charm on the market right now, but we're thinking about adding some of this particular Laura petalum variety. This is Purple Daydream, not a great picture, but the Southern Living Plant Collection has Purple Diamond, which sells a lot in Texas, and Purple Pixie, which is a dwarf. And then they have Red Diamond, which is a larger growing one. But this is Purple Daydream, and it's an intermediate Laura petalum variety. And then the Southern Living Laura petalums, Purple Daydream is the one that people are trying to plant now because it works more as a 3 to 4 foot Laura petalum. You always are skeptical sometimes when you say this Laura petalum gets this size, because most of them get larger than they're advertised to get, but this will fit your intermediate growth habit on Laura petalums. So this is Purple Daydream. And then y'all know about the Jazz Hand Laura petalums. These still to be out there in good numbers, and a lot of people don't realize there are 6 varieties in the Jazz Hand Laura petalums, some proven winners. And variegated seems to be one that's sold a whole lot. And depending on what time of year and what kind of sunshade you have it in, you'll get varying degrees of variegation on the plants. Many is the proven winner equivalent of Purple Pixie. So if you know Purple Pixie in the Southern Living Collection, Many is kind of the comparable variety in the Jazz Hands. And then there's pink and bold and white. So if you're looking for a white flowering Laura petalum, think about Jazz Hands white. We have a lot of requests at Bracey's for Jazz Hands white, and we just don't have very many of those being produced right now. So just keep that in mind. And then Night Moves is a newer variety that has been added to the Jazz Hands collection. So these are proven winners, and you see them available off and on during the year from the wholesale growers. And then the Pugster Buddlius, going into some of the herbaceous or kind of the woody perennial kind of plants. The Pugster Buddlius, these were developed at the University of Connecticut. And when these first came out, I wasn't feeling that great about them, but they're growing on me, and I like them more than I used to. I just thought they wouldn't be landscape durable, but they are holding up exceptionally well. They have big foliage, they have big flowers, they seem to be holding up in landscape beds better than I was anticipating they would. So they seem to be perennial. So think about the Pugsters, periwinkle, amethyst. The blue is the proven winner of flowering shrub of the year for this year for proven winners. The white is a very poor grower, so I would avoid the white. And then the new one coming later this year in 2022 is an improved pink. So pinker is the new one for 2022. A lot of pollinator activity on the Pugsters. Here's Pugster Blue with a bumblebee on it. And here's Pugster, I'm not sure if that's amethyst or periwinkle. Look at the flower heads on there. Now some of the new Buddlius are not that friendly to pollinators. They don't have a lot of nectar in the flowers, but you do have a lot of nectar in the flowers on the Pugster varieties. And these are 18, 24-inch growers. So they're not like your old Buddleia varieties that get really large. And they have bigger foliage and bigger blooms than Tutti Frutti and some of the flutterbys, which I like very much also. So that's amethyst. That's a 2-year-old plant at my friend's house in Monroe, Louisiana, looking very good. And then just wrapping up with our Louisiana super plants. Y'all have Texas superstars. So keep in mind, some of these may work very well with y'all in Texas. The lemon ball sedum, the firebush, that's in the garden debut program, the Jolt dianthus, and then last year the Flamethrower Coleus and the new Pentas, the Lucky Star series. And then we pulled in a couple of natives there, the American Beautyberry, which is great for y'all in East Texas, the ball cypress, and then the 2021 winners, which I think are some nice additions for us. Y'all know about the downy mildew situation on impatiens, so you need to be thinking about the beacons or the Amara, I-M-A-R-A, the Amara and the Beacon series impatiens are downy mildew resistant, and they're holding up very well with the growers and with the landscapers. The Sunflower's Incredible Yellow from Proven Winners, the native muley grass, pink muley grass. And then we're seeing a little bit of interest in the smaller growing Supertunias, and the Mini Vista Indigo has been one of the best Supertunia minis in the LSU Ag Center trial. So that one was named a super plant for this year. So there's the lemon sedum. Y'all know about this plant, great variety. Here's the lime sizzler firebush, the Jolt dianthus. There's 3 colors of these. Dianthus are really great as an alternative cool season bedding plant that merit more attention, more use. The Flamethrower Coleus, there's 9 varieties of these. Most of them are compact and very slow to bloom. A couple of them are larger growing and bloom a little bit earlier in late summer than I would like to see. But overall, the Flamethrowers are nice Coleus additions, but there's so many Coleus out there too. How do you really decide which one you're going to go with? The Lucky Star Pentas, we have the graffitis and the new looks and the butterflies and so many series of Pentas, but the Lucky Stars have been very good performers for us in Louisiana. The American Beautyberry, decently available, a good wildlife plant, good plant for a native woodland edge. People like to plant in that kind of a situation. The Louisiana ball cypress, and I'm not sure how much pond cypress and Montezuma cypress availability you all have in Texas right now, but of course, pond cypress and Montezuma cypress would be good choices for y'all. We need some Louisiana production of Montezuma. It seems we only had one grower growing Montezuma, and we don't have anybody growing the ones that Dr. Dave Creech at Stephen and Boston has been working on. So we need those 2 out there in more available numbers. There's the Beacon Impatiens, and I think there's 7 or 8 colors in the Beacons. Those are Pan American seed, really nice plants. The Suncredible Yellow Sunflower Proven Winners, and those are repeat blooming, so they bloom from late spring all the way to first killing frost. And then, of course, the pink muley grass. One mistake I see folks doing is pruning back muley grass too severely. These don't respond to that major pruning like panicums and miscanthus do. So you got to be a little bit more gentle on pruning back the muley grass. So don't get too carried away with major pruning on the muley. But by the time you get to year 4 and 5, these are just absolutely gorgeous, September through November every year. And then the Indigo Mini Supertunia, That's going to be a Louisiana super plant that we're going to advertise this September. So a lot of things going on in the new plant arena right now. Plant availability is very tight, as all of you all know. And as we go further into the spring, into May and June, it's going to just be even tighter. Hopefully, growers out there can get some inventory ready for the fall. So we're trying to satisfy the demand, and but the retailers are struggling to keep enough shrubs on hand. And I know the landscapers are eating up so many plants right now. So there's no easy solution to this, but it's good, but it's also losing sales is something that wholesale growers and landscapers and retailers certainly don't want to consider, where there's so many opportunities right now to sell some plants. So I hope y'all enjoyed some of that information. I'll be glad to take any questions or comments y'all have. And I did email Dr. Gu a PDF of the PowerPoint if anybody would like it emailed to them. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Alan. This is a great presentation. A lot of really nice plants. I hope you don't mind that I want to mention about 3 plants. One is a Calicarpa americana that you had a really nice plants, and then at the very beginning you showed Tom Rainey's spirea, the double take spirea. The thing I want to mention is the crepe myrtle bark scale. I hate to bring this. I hate to bring this to this nice talk on the new plants. But this crepe myrtle bark scale has been confirmed on Calicarpa americana a couple of years ago. And last year, I think 2019 or 2020, we have seen crepe myrtle bark scale happen on Spirea japonica in Arkansas, and then the scale on Spirea thunbergia in North Carolina. So we collected those samples and we did the DNA test that those were. They do have, a crepe myrtle nearby, and that's why we had the suspicion, so we did confirm that those on the Spirea japonica and Spirea thunbergia are indeed a crepe myrtle bark scale.
Yeah, I forgot about the Spirea. I remember that now, and yeah, I didn't know how much beautyberry infestation we were seeing yet. So
yeah. Thank you.
But crepe myrtle bark scale in Louisiana, Mississippi is still spreading. It is really bad in Metro Jackson, Mississippi. I mean, it is everywhere. Seems to be a little less pressure right now in Shreveport, thankfully.
I wanted to ask you a quick question about Dicentium. I've often heard that cinnamon girl is a little bit more cold tolerant. Do you find that to be true?
I believe that's right, Laura. I know it's listed as 6B. I still think that's a little bit ambitious with it. But I do think cinnamon girl has a fraction more cold hardiness than the other varieties.
We don't have a lot of it planted out here in Fort Worth, and I know where some is, and I'll go look at it and see how it came through.
Okay. Yeah. Y'all check on Dicentiums in Texas for me and let me know.
When you all are thinking about your questions, Airfong included the link, the survey, help us fill out the survey so that we could do future programming. So it's pretty easy, sixleggedaggies.com/chat survey. Would really appreciate you guys, fill in the survey. Yeah, thank you. Airfong just copy and pasted again. So it's really important for us to get some feedbacks from you all. Any more questions for Dr. Owens? Don't be shy. Don't be shy.
So why are Dicentiums not being used more in Texas? Is production not there? Do people not know about it? Or is Texas A&M not writing a news article about it? Or
Maybe all of that. I don't know.
okay.
I mean, I have seen them. Gosh, I've seen them for sale a few times. Not a lot, but it takes a little bit of time for something to kind of.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
I always, Alan, I always have a question about Dicentiums at the back of my mind. I mean, it's not hydrangea. It doesn't have showy flowers like hydrangea or roses. So
the lacking of flower show is something that right.
I mean, it's different from boxwood. It's different from Ilex crenata, from those dwarf hollies. But the thing is, if I already got my dwarf holly working as the foundation, as a hedge, why do I want to replace it with Dicentium? If it doesn't have the flower appeal like Encore Azalea, like hydrangeas, like no, that just has always been, at the back of my mind when I hear people, when last time, I think I was on tour with Mike Durr, and he was very excited about the Dicentium. During his IPPS presentation, he was very excited about the development in Dicentium. And I always just think, what's the big deal?
So I guess what I'm thinking too is we've lost so many Indian hawthorns, which were all over the place. We've got to have some different replacements because that does have some problems with Entomosporium leaf spot. Just some problems. So
I'm thinking that's where Dicentium has the most possibilities as an Indian hawthorn replacement. Although it really doesn't have the flowering that Indian hawthorn does, but certainly doesn't have any insect or disease issues that we've seen so far.
Yeah. And the talking about Indian hawthorns, it's very naturally they just give you the meatball. They just give you the meatball shape. Versus it's naturally pruned, it's self-pruned into a meatball shape. And then the Dicentium, it's
you're
more
gonna have to prune on it a couple of times you're gonna have to prune on it a couple of times a year to kind of bring some of that bypass shoot growth back down to the main canopy.
Right, because otherwise it's more a free spirit. Yeah.
But I do think the swing low looks really good. I'm just having that.
I'm very optimistic about swing low. I haven't seen enough older plants in the landscape yet. I'm gonna start trying to find out.
Awesome.
To work on that.
Okay.
I also have a question about the Laura Pendulum. About 10 years ago, when Southern Living came out with the Shanghai and Shanglo, the Purple Dixie Shanglo, and I was like really impressed. It's almost like a hang basket type and stuff. So some of these new cultivars, not the variated, not the ones with variated, but just the simple purple colors. I mean, where do you see them compare to Purple Pixie?
The mini jazz hands has larger foliage than Purple Pixie does, and I don't see the jazz hand mini with a little bit doesn't have the cascade habit to it that Purple Pixie does.
Mm-hmm.
Both of those are going to be nitpicky on the soil and on getting Phytophthora root rot. Most growers are putting those in houses now or putting them on very managed irrigation to get a good crop. So it's always a little bit scary to me for somebody to plant, 50 of them in one spot. You got to really be careful about the roots and the soil moisture on the dwarf or lower pedlums.
And I noticed, I also noticed that you did not have Sunshine Ligustrum in this mix, and of course, it's been out for a couple of years. I remember several years ago. Well, it was maybe 2016, so 5 years ago. Buddy Lee gave a presentation on some of the tops selling Southern Living plants, and if I remember correctly, he was saying that the Sunshine Ligustrum has, there are more sales of Sunshine Ligustrum than all the rest of the 9 combined. So it was that huge power. So where do you see Sunshine Ligustrum, the sales and the everything, the popularity?
Yeah, what you're just saying right now is true. It's the #1 plant in Southern Living sales, and it's blowing away the numbers as far as the other varieties. And the demand for Sunshine Ligustrums in Texas is huge. We just fight to have enough available, and it's still selling in record numbers. And every year I say the Sunshine Madness has to slow down sooner or later, but it just doesn't seem to be doing that. Now there are plantings now there where you will see Sunshine Ligustrums sporting some green. So you gotta be aware of that and start keeping that pruned out. And is that green going to flower? Is it, so you have to watch for that, but we sell every crop of Sunshine Ligustrum we have the minute it gets ready. And we have one grower in Louisiana who contracts grows 100,000 for Flowerwood, so, and the numbers Flowerwood Rose are outstanding, insane. It's just incredible,
So
1 gallon,
okay,
2 gallon, 3 gallon. That people are growing them in 7-gallon cones and globe shapes now, and you got to prune a lot during the year to keep those cones and globes that shape.
Yeah, I don't like it. I'll just say it.
I love it. I love it myself.
I don't like it because I mean, when you think about which plants become invasive in North Texas, that Ligustrum sinensis is #1. So.
And that plant Sunshine still can't be sold in Tennessee,
Right.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, just imagine if Tennessee is opened up
because Ligustrum sinensis is on the ban, nursery can't sell. Yeah, and even though it's a variety that's supposedly sterile, but now we're seeing a little bit of green in them. So
that's what I'm saying is once you start throwing those green shoots out, eventually you'll see some flowers.
So Alan, so you intentionally did not include Sunshine Ligustrum in the mix because you don't have plants for sale?
Oh, maybe that's it. I just figured, everybody knew about that, and probably a lot of people knew about some of the ones we talked about, but Sunshine, I just didn't think it was new enough to warn. I've talked about it enough, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm trying 3 plants of Florida Sunshine Elysium in my landscape here in College Station. In the same bed with some azaleas. I'm really keeping my fingers crossed that they would do well.
I like that plant. Do you have it in full sun?
I have it in part sun.
Yeah, part sun, part shade, a little bit of shade.
Yeah, part sun, part shade. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So just hoping.
Yeah, I like that plant.
Yeah. All right. It seems like we don't have a whole lot of questions from the audience. So again, I'm gonna make another plea. Please help us fill out the survey to help us with the future programming. The link is in the chat. Please fill it out. Alan, do you have anything more to share? Other things that you want to share?
Well, I really didn't make me any more notes. I appreciate the notes about the Indian hawthorn and Japanese blueberry and oleander and bottle brush damage. That is that's some of the ones that I've been hearing a lot of damage about. And I didn't see as much southern indica azalea damage in North Louisiana as I was anticipating seeing. I certainly know beyond East Texas, y'all don't have a whole lot of azaleas probably, but are y'all seeing much azalea damage down to the ground in Dallas where they do have some azaleas, or do you know?
don't know. I mean,
Okay.
I don't know. I haven't looked at a
Yeah.
lot.
Laura, have
It's-
you been to Dallas Arboretum to see those azaleas?
Not
Have they?
not since the freeze. No, I have not.
Okay. Because that's the only place in the Dallas area where I would think there are a lot of azaleas.
There's a lot there. There are azaleas other places, but and certainly in lots of people's landscapes, but I just haven't been looking at them. They're not noticeably dead all over town like some other things. So
Is Jenny still at the Dallas Arboretum?
Aaron just shared that the azaleas are blooming in Tyler. So I assume that they
Okay, yeah.
yeah. Okay, I think that wraps up our chat today. Thank you again, Dr. Owens. This is a great presentation. Really enjoyed it. A lot of information, a lot of good-looking plants. I hope you guys grow more in the nursery so that we could buy them. Well, everyone.
Thank y'all. Enjoyed being here with everybody. Thank you for participating.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you, everyone. Fill out the survey. Have a great afternoon. Bye.